Hello everyone and welcome to this channel. Today I'm going to be starting the first in a series of quantitative reasoning exercises that I'll be doing over the next few weeks or even months. Generally, quantitative they help our brains to stay sharp and alert even as we grow older. You will notice that a lot of people look after their physical health, their bodies. They eat healthy foods, they go to the gym, but they neglect their mental health, they neglect their brains, they neglect their minds. And these days we hear about chronic diseases like dementia and Alzheimer's. One of the benefits of quantitative reasoning, critical thinking, continuous critical thinking, continuous challenging of the brain is that it helps you to stay sharp and helps your brain to keep working properly. So without further ado, let's get started. So I've got a few questions here that we will run through in the next few minutes. The first question has a series of numbers, and the question asks us to study the sequences and come up with a number that should come next in each of these sequences. So the first sequence is 33, 24, 34, and 23. The first thing I do when I see a sequence like this or a series like this is to understand the relationship between the numbers. So take the first two numbers for instance. What's the relationship between 33 and 24? I can see in this case that 33 is greater than 24 by 9. The next two numbers, 24 and 34, I can see that 24 is less than 34 by 10. And then the next two numbers, 34 and 23, I can see that 23 is less than 34 by 11. So it does appear to me that this sequence or this series of numbers increase and decrease by an increasing amount of numbers. So we've got, if we start from 33, we can see that it decreases to 24 by 9, and then increases to 34 by 10, and then decreases to 23 by 11. So the next number should be an increase by 12. So 23 plus 12 will give us 35. So that is the number in the series. If we take the next series of numbers, 68, 36, 20, and 12. Again, think about the relationship between these two numbers. 68 is greater than 36 by 32. 36 is greater than 20 by 16. And 20 is greater than 12 by 8. I can see a pattern here. It does appear to me that these numbers decrease by half of the previous number. Okay, so 68 decreases by 32 to give you 36. Now 36 decreases by half of 32, which is 16, to give you 20. And then 20 decreases by half of 16, which is 8, to give you 12. So the next number should decrease by a half of 8. And that should be 12 minus 4. That should give us 8. So 8 is the next number in this series. This looks very easy. Let's see if we could get more difficult ones to tackle. We've got 145, 134, 122, and 109. So as usual, we want to study the relationship between these numbers. And we can see that 145 decreases to 134, and it decreases by 11. And then 134 decreases to 122 by 12. And then 122 decreases to 109 by 13. So the next number in this series should decrease by 14. That is the pattern. Okay, that is the pattern we're seeing here. So 109 minus 14. Okay, so we have 5 here, and then we'll have 9, and that's it. So the next number in the series is 95. Next numbers are 160, 40, 10. Again, we studied the relationship between these two numbers. If I studied the relationship between 160 and 40, I would say that 160 when divided by 4 gives us 40. So that's a 4. It's a relationship involving 4 in between. And I could also see that 40 when divided by 4 gives us 10. So again, that number divided by 4. It does appear to me then that the next number in this series will be 10 divided by 4, which will be 2.5. Our final sequence is 7, 22, and 67. This looks like a tricky one, but we'll get there. Now, what's the relationship between 7 and 22? Well, I would say that 7 increases to 22 by 15, and 22 increases to 67 by 45. So what number will be in the sequence? Will be next in the sequence? Well, one thing I could also see a different pattern or different relationship between these numbers. So 7 multiplied by 3 plus 1 will give us 22, isn't it? Okay, so 3 and then plus 1. Now 22 multiplied by 3 and then plus 1. That does give us 67. So it does look like there are 2 ways to solving this particular sequence. The first we could say is that 15 times 3 gives us 45. 15 by 40. 15 multiplied by 3 gives us 45. And then it does mean that the next number in the series will be 67 plus 45 multiplied by 3. So 45 multiplied by 3 will give us 135. If we add 67 to 135, we end up with 2, 0, 2. Okay, so this appears to be the next number in the series. Let's see if we get the same number by using the third the second method here, and that will be 67 times 3 plus 1. So 67 times 3 plus 1 is 67 times 3. 3 times 7 gives us 1. It's 21. Okay. 3 times 6 is 18 plus 2, 20. So 201 plus 1, that's 202. So we got the same answer in the sequence. So that was an interesting one. All right, so that's us done for the very first question. Now let's move over to the second question. And this looks like a very interesting one. So this question asks us to solve the question mark in this figure, where we've got 2 dogs and a cat. Got 2 dogs. So let's try to find out what the cat's, dog, and mouse represents. So our first equation, we've got 2 cats, 2c, plus 1 mouse is equal to 15. If we find another row where we've got only cats and mouse, which is the right hand row here, the right hand column rather, the right hand column, we have 1 cat plus 2 mouse will give us 18. So we use this equation, we can arrive at what value either a mouse or a cat is. So let's try to solve these 2 equations, starting from the first one. So we got 2 cats plus 1 mouse is equal to 15. We're going to move this over here, and when we do, we have 1 mouse is equal to 15. Remember, when it moves over to the other side, it changes its sign, so it becomes minus 2c. If we substitute this equation right into this second equation, we will have 1 cat plus 2 mouse, which is 2, 15 minus 2c. And if we expand this equation, we have 1 cat plus 2 times 15 is equal to 30, and 2 times 2c is equal to 4c. Now we only have to solve, we only have to find what the c is, which is the cat, the value of the c, which is the cat. So that should equate to 18, and this should equate to, what we want to do is to have the numbers in one side and the letters on the other side. So if we have 30, 18 comes over to the next side, it becomes a negative value, so minus 18 will give us minus 4c, goes over to the other side, becomes positive, so becomes 4c, and then 1c comes over here, becomes a negative minus 1c. 30 minus 18 gives us a 12, is equal to 4 minus 1 gives us 3c. C is then equal to 12 over 3, which is equal to 4. So the cat here represents 4. So we know what the cat represents. So we use the same method to solve for what a mouse represents. So we take the equation, same equation, where we have 2 cats plus 1 mouse is equal to 15. Remember, we now know that a cat represents, or 4 represents a cat. So 2 times 4 gives us 8, plus 1 mouse is equal to 15. Okay, so if we cross the values over to the other side, so we have letters on one side and numbers on one side, we will have 1 mouse is equal to 15 minus 8, and then 1 mouse is equal to 7. So that's what 1 mouse is. We know that 1 cat is 4 and a mouse is 7. So all we need to do is to find a column that includes a dog here, and then we can find the value of a dog. All right, so we've got the first column on the left includes a dog. Say 1 cat plus 1 dog plus 1 mouse is equal to 20. Then we know that the cat is 4 and a dog, we don't know what a dog is, but we know that the mouse is 7 is equal to 20. Again, move all letters to one side and all numbers to the other side. We then have that a dog is equal to 20 minus 4 minus 7. And then a dog will be equal to 20 minus 4 is 16 minus 7 gives us 9. So the dog is equal to 9, a cat is equal to 4, and the mouse is equal to 7. So if we were to solve this question mark here, we will have, so we've got 1 cat plus 2 dogs is equal to question mark. We know that the cat is 4, so 4 plus a dog is 9, 2 dogs, that's 18, gives us 22. And that's the answer for the question mark there. So if we move over to the third question very quickly, we just need to understand the diagram and select which one is next in the series. So when I look at this diagram, when I look at this first diagram, I see a pattern. So there are 2 things to consider. First is this bar on the left hand side, and second is this shape in the middle of the square. So those 2 things characterizes this square. Now when I look at the next square, I see that the bar is halved and the circle is clear. When I look at the next series, I see that the bar is full again and the circle is checked. When I look at the next sequence, I see the bar is halved and now we've got a square in the square. And then the next sequence, we've got a full bar on the left and a clear square in the middle. So what I can deduce from this is we've got alternating full and half bars. That's the first thing. Alternating full and half bars. And then we've got a circle that is filled and then becomes clear and then is checked. And now we've got a square that is full, it becomes clear, and the next should be checked. So I think, or I know, that the next shape in this series is a square with a half bar and a check square in between. And that answer is A right here. So we've come to the end of this. I hope that that was a bit stimulating for you. Go on and try some of these exercises and I'll be back with more. Thanks for watching and bye for now.